Good evening. Here is top news newsletter, starting with the headline. Syrian army moving forward with operations inflicting more losses upon terrorists. Al-Assad's part of the solution in Syria, UN envoy. Iraqi army liberates al-Baghdadi district from ISIL. An army unit clashed with terrorists from the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria near Al-Sadiq crossroad on Jabal Abdelaziz Road in the countryside of northern Al-Hasaka province, leaving many of them dead and others wounded. Meanwhile, a unit of the army targeted a gathering of ISIL terrorists in Tal Ahmad in the southern countryside of Al-Qamishli, destroying a vehicle equipped with Dushka machine gun and killing and wounding all the terrorists there. Units of the army and armed forces killed terrorists in Khirbat Sultaniya and Damascus countryside, and the army killed and injured a number of terrorists in the farm north of Douma. The army also clashed with terrorists in Entarma area and killed and injured a number of terrorists. In Jobar area, the army established control over several blocks and eliminated a number of terrorists east of Maysalun. Army units targeted the gathering of terrorists in Al-Jiza, Busra al-Sham, and the area surrounding Atman town in the eastern countryside of southern Daraa province, leaving many of the terrorists killed in addition to destroy local-made Qanun. More gatherings of terrorists were targeted by the army in the area surrounding Zimrin, Enkel, and Al-Hrak town in the countryside. In Atman town, the army carried out intensive operations, killing many terrorists in the Kabul buildings and destroying a den of terrorists in the town's western neighborhood. All the terrorists were killed. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and Syrian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim greeting United Nations Special Envoy for Syria Staffan de Mistura after a meeting in Damascus. UN Syria's envoy says Bashar al-Assad must have a role in Syria's future to ensure peace. Any resolution to the fighting in Syria must involve President al-Assad, the United Nations envoy to Syria has said in the first such acknowledgement by the UN. President al-Assad is a part of the solution, Staffan de Mistura told the joint press conference with Australian Foreign Minister Sebastian Kurz in Vienna. I will continue to have very important discussions with him, de Mistura added, noting the only solution is a political one. This was the first time a UN envoy on Syria has frankly named al-Assad as a part of a peaceful solution after nearly 4 years of fighting between government forces and terrorist armies like ISIL, Nusra Front, and other armed terrorists seeking Syria's government overthrown. Iraqi security forces have liberated the central of al-Baghdadi district located in the east of the city of Ramadi, the capital of the western Anbar province, from ISIL terrorists. The security forces have also killed dozens of ISIL militants in their operation to recapture al-Baghdadi district center. The army and police forces backed by the anti-ISIL tribesmen launched a military operation to liberate the central of al-Baghdadi district, quoting by Aziz Khalaf al-Tarmuz, the security deputy of Anbar governor. The liberation came on one day after the ISIL terrorists launched an attack on the airbase. The army has struggled to recapture even smaller towns that pose a less of a challenge than Mosul, Iraq's second largest city, which is still full of civilians and heavily defended by the militants. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei responded to a secret letter from U.S. President Barack Obama with one of his own when on the topic of possibly working with the U.S. to fight the Islamic State if a nuclear deal was secured. The White House declined to comment on the letter. News of the letter comes the same week that Khamenei said he would be open to compromise in the nuclear talks currently being held with the U.S., Britain, Russia, China, France, and Germany. In Lebanese view, Hezbollah Deputy Secretary General stressed that what is going on in Al-Qunaitira against the Israeli territories of Nusra terrorists will contrive major achievements in the region. Sheikh Qasim added that whenever the resistance functions powerfully, Al-Qaeda terrorist group as well as its ramifications, including ISIL as well as Al-Nusra Front, collapses, and the Israeli team gets exposed. His Eminence noted that the Israeli concern over the Syrian army's battlefield achievements in Al-Qunaitira confirmed that the terrorist groups in the bordering province serve the Zionist entities' interests and plots. In the occupied Palestine, Israeli occupation forces have attacked Palestinian demonstrators protesting against the ongoing Israeli settlement building in the occupied territories and injured nearly a dozen protesters. The violence erupted after Friday prayers in the West Bank town west of Ramallah. Israeli military forces fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the protesters and reportedly detained several demonstrators. Witnesses said that dozens of Palestinians suffered temporary suffocation from tear gas during the protester rallies, which were organized by the Popular Resistance Committee. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Inas Ahmad. Good night.